I'm going to start talking, and the marker board's going to appear. I don't know how many more times we're going to have this sidekick up here, so soak it in, guys. I know everybody likes the marker board as much as I do. Anyways, I, Robot is a movie that came out when I was in high school. Thank you. And it has a surprisingly Christian message in it. There's a surprisingly Christian theme going on in the storyline of I, Robot. It's a future America with robot butlers and flying cars and all the wonderful things you like from sci-fi. And the thing with these robots that are existing in all the houses, all the places across town, is that they serve the people who belong to them, but they're all bound to this sort of single consciousness that is still tied up in this corporation they all came from. So even though they are sold to the people and they exist and they belong to these people, they never really belong to them. They still belong to the corporation. And so there's this inherent danger in these robots because they can at any moment be turned against the people instead of for the people and blah, 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 the whole story, right? Now, there's this one robot in the movie called Sonny. And Sonny is a special robot. He is a special creation of the person who invented all these robots, who saw this sort of control he was losing in his own corporation, and he, before he ousted, he made this one last robot who could defy the orders, and he had these special abilities. He's stronger than the other robots. He has a denser metal and stronger materials than the rest of them, so he can go against the other robots and have the ability to accomplish all the things he'll have to accomplish to save the day. Also with his friend Will Smith, so it's like a cop buddy robot movie. Anyways, so if you just listen to that story, it's a kind of surprisingly Christian message, where you are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works which God has prepared in advance for you to do. You are this special robot with a special mission and a special purpose, and you exist here today for a reason because your Creator put you here to do things. It's kind of cool. And at the almost last frame of the movie, the very end of the movie, the last scene comes up. Sonny and Will Smith are talking to each other, and Sonny drops this amazing line, and the American worldview comes crashing in and kind of almost like a parody of itself, hijacks the message of the movie, just like the robots have been hijacked. And he says this, Sonny goes, "Now that I have fulfilled my purpose, I don't know what to do." And Will Smith looks at him and says, "Well, I guess you'll have to find your way like the rest of us, Sonny. That's what it means to be free. I guess you'll just have to find your way like the rest of us. What we humans do out here is we make it up as we go along. It's just, you just gotta have to discover it for yourself. No, there is no purpose higher than you speaking into the rest of your life. There is nothing higher than you putting something inside of you so that you can live it out for the rest of your life. No, you just gotta figure it out as you go along." And this is a perfectly American view of how life works. It's called postmodernism. Postmodernism is this idea that you find your thing and I find my thing, and we just kind of make our way through this life in the dark and we figure it out. And we didn't just end up here one day. It came from modernism, which is the kind of post-enlightenment, this kind of worldview that said there is this sort of rational truth out there, and you can discover it. You can be smart enough to figure it out. You can divine it. And atheism kind of came out of this worldview. We can be smart enough to figure this out on our own. But also a lot of the modern world came out of this worldview. A lot of science came out of this. There's this big scientific explosion that came out of the modern worldview and the modernism. And a lot of great things happened. And a lot of cool things happened. But the beating heart under the machine kept crying out. And modernism didn't really answer all the questions. There was still this idea of, well, what about meaning? What about purpose? What on earth am I here for? And so modernism, while it gave us a lot of good things, it didn't give us all the things that we deeply, deeply wanted. And also World War I and World War II really hurt modernism as well, but whatever, that's another story for another day. And so here's the question. When our hearts started beating and people started going, wait, you're not answering some of the more deep questions we want to have answered for us, did we go back to the Christian worldview? No. We went from modernism to postmodernism. whatever, it's never been a good, no one's ever thought that postmodernism was a good word, by the way. They never really described what we're talking about. It just was the time after modernism. And instead of there being one rational truth out there that you and I can just discover, if we just did the math good enough, if we thought hard enough, now we don't think that way. We think in terms of narratives or stories we can live into. And there's a million of them. And they're all just as good as the other. It's our job as a human being to kind of pluck them out of the sky and go, this one works for me, or it doesn't work for me. It's true for me, or it's not true for me. And there's no better or worse way to go. And we have created for ourselves a sinless society where there's no absolutely right thing, no absolutely wrong thing. It's just, you got to go figure it out on your own. Because that's what it means to be free. And in this sinless society that we've created for ourselves, there's only one sin that exists. To say that any choice another person's made is wrong. And as you can tell, that is a snake eating its tail. Doesn't work. Doesn't help us. There's a musician named John Cage, and I've officially left my notes starting now, so we'll see what happens today, guys. There's a musician named John Cage, and he was part of the sort of avant-garde in the 70s, 80s time period where he was all about nothing in life is anything but chance. It's all just chance. It's all chance. It's all chance. And he wanted his music to play into that worldview. I've chosen this as my worldview. It's going to be my truth. I'm going to go with it. And he would have these systems and machines he had designed to help him come up and write his music based on chance. And so he'd base it off of water dropping or a machine doing this, that, or whatever. And as you could probably guess, his music was terrible. It was awful. And nobody liked it. One day he got done with it. He had a song called 4 minutes and 33 seconds. Does anybody know the song? Anybody got this on their playlist? This banger? Anybody? No one knows this one? This is the most famous song. It's Complete Silence. He sits on the piano for 4 minutes and 30 seconds and does nothing. And it's just chance. It's his worldview playing out. And one day he got done with this orchestra, and he turned around to what he was expecting to be applause from the audience after his masterpiece of his chance operations, and he heard boos and hisses. And then he realized that was actually coming from a guy who's playing in his own band. He's going, wow. Now here's what's amazing about John Cage. John Cage is also at the time, was one of the top amateur mycologists. Anybody in the room mycologists, big mycology fans of? They obviously are people who study fungus. Yeah, he's a big mushroom guy. He loved mushrooms. It was a big part of his life. Of all the people who had you're a nerd. Whatever. He had the biggest private library of mushroom books. I don't know. I've never read a mushroom book. Sounds kind of interesting. And he's a big fan of these guys. Really? And in an interview one day, he admitted, he goes, you know what? I learned that I couldn't actually live out my chance worldview when it came to picking mushrooms. Because there's a lot of danger in picking the wrong mushroom. And if I lived out my mushroom pursuits the same way I lived out the rest of my life, I would die in short order. And Francis Schaeffer comes along, as he so often wonderfully does, and he goes, hey John, excuse me pal, John, if you're trying to develop a worldview, if you're trying to develop a world that encapsulates everything you need to know about the world, shouldn't it at least be robust enough to cover mushroom picking? And it's not. Because the worldview doesn't work. And by the way, the worldview was never really about everything's chance or nothing's true or everything's true. It was always about doing what you want, really. How can I put myself in a place where I can just do whatever I want? Which is why, as secular and as liberal as the band Bright Eyes was, they had it exactly right when he said, how come, he said, if there's no truth in who cares, then why do you say it like you're right? These worldviews where we just go, we'll just let everything go. They don't work for us. They don't help us out. And the Christian worldview, the biblical worldview, does not operate this way. The Christian worldview, the Bible teaches us a different thing. Not that there's a million narratives out there, although there are. You're living your life, I'm living my life, and you have a story, and I have a story, and there are story beats in it, it makes sense in different ways. But the Bible teaches that there's actually one story. We call it the meta-narrative. There's one story that cuts through all of it. It is the thing that God is doing throughout human history. And you're part of it here, and you're a part of it there, and I'm part of it here. And one of our themes for this year is finding your spot in God's story. And what we do is we don't take whatever we're already doing and just try and paste Christianity onto it and go, well, see, it's basically the same thing. No, what we try to do is we take our lives and we tether it onto the story God's telling, and we go on the ride of our lives. We do what God tells us to do, and we go where God tells us to go. And you know what? He has a long history of sending His people crazy places and doing amazing things with them. And one of the things that the Bible says, that we've already covered this, we're going to go back to this guy from the beginning of our series, is that the reason we're able to do this, the reason we're able to figure out purpose in our life and meaning and live our lives fully is because God has given us this thing called the image of God. Remember, we talked about this. We said this image of God plays out in our lives in 3 different directions. He says, down, there's things that belong to you that we're supposed to work with, we're supposed to make them better, we're supposed to use them responsibly, and when we do those things, they are supposed to be to the benefit of the world around us. But we don't just do it responsibly to the benefit of those around us, but ultimately, what we do with our lives, what we do with our work, what we do with our school, what we do with the things we do, spend our lives doing, is to the glory of God. 360 degrees of the image of God. Work with what belongs to me to the benefit of others, to the glory of God. And somewhere in there, you find the meaning of your life. And what's fascinating about this is there's a surprising amount of freedom in how this gets to play out. You don't do this, go, therefore everyone's supposed to be a pastor. You don't go, oh, therefore everyone's supposed to be like a school teacher. You can be a school teacher and have this play out perfectly. You can be a businessman and have this play out perfectly. You can be a pastor, you can be a mom, you can be a dad and have this play out perfectly because you're just doing this sort of relationship that God has built into you. And what we said is we don't just have the image of God, we also have the fall. We also have sin in our lives, that we sin. And what sin does is at every point, it tries to convince us to bend these things back in on ourselves. Where we say, no. You don't really need to take these things and use them responsibly. You don't really need, it doesn't matter, it's just what you can get out of them, all that matters. And it was, no, we don't really want to bless the world around us, we want to bless ourselves. That's what we want, right? And we don't want to honor God, we want to honor ourselves. And at every point, our temptation is to turn these things back around on ourselves. And that's the battle we have to fight every single day. To say, today I'm going to use what I have responsibly to the best of my ability, to the benefit of others, and the glory of God. And what we've said in this series is that even when God calls us away from the things we would probably want to be doing, we said this, the things God calls us to are the things He made us for. That when God says, no, I don't want you to do that, it's not because He's just a big old grouch party pooper guy, right? It's because He made you for something else. And the theme, a phrase we like to say in this church is that God's not a tyrant, He's a friend. He's called us for things better than even what we think we should have ourselves. And here's the thing. When we leave what God calls us for, it leaves us hungry for what God made us for. And it leaves us coming into this room from all walks of life going, maybe I'll give this a chance. Maybe I'll try this. Maybe there's something these people are talking about the world doesn't really know about. And Jesus in Mark chapter 10, if you have your Bibles open there, He meets a man who has been very successful in his life. And the world's been very good to him. And he has found a lot of success very young, and it's been great. And yet he's still going to walk up to Jesus and go, Jesus, is there something else? Mark chapter 10, starting verse 17, it says this: As Jesus started on his way, a man ran up to him and fell on his knees before him. And he said, Good teacher, what must I do to inherit eternal life? Now, this man's story is told 3 times in the Bible, Matthew, Mark, and Luke. And we know from this man, he's now known as, just in the church world, as the rich young ruler. We know he's rich, he's wealthy, he's young, and he's a ruler. He has authority. He has succeeded in a lot of areas of his life, and he's young, and he's done it very quickly. I am often envious of people and I went to my 10-year reunion, and we found out one of my classmates was like the mayor of a small town in Ohio. I was like, wow, I've not done the same things with my life that you've done with yours. All right, the rich young ruler. There were not many things that stood in his way, right? There's not many things that have hindered him from going after the things that he's chased after. And now he is known to us as the rich young ruler. And yet, he finds himself running up to Jesus one day. He says, what do I have to do to inherit eternal life? He says, why do you call me good? Jesus answered, no one's good except for God alone. And you know the commandments. You've had people answer this question for you before. You've had people tell you how to live your life before. Why are you coming to me? Go do the stuff. People have told you. There's things, they'll tell you, get a good job. Get an education. Get married. Have kids. Do your thing. Find your truth. Do what feels good to you. People have answered this question for you before, right? Now, he's a good Jewish boy, so that's not the answers he was given. He was given the 10 Commandments. The 10 Commandments are the 10 rules that are the very beginning of the Old Testament law. It's what the rest of the law is built on. And Jesus goes, you know the commandments. You know people have told you what to do. You shall not murder. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal. You shall not give false testimony. You shall not defraud. And then you should also honor your mother and your father. Now, here's what's really interesting about the rules that Jesus gives. He says, all right, fine. Here's what we'll do. We'll do this. He gives the back half of the 10 Commandments. Now, if you keep reading the New Testament, you just kind of stick with this Jesus guy, you're going to come away with this piece of information that's very, very important. The top and the most important command in the history of the Bible has ever given us was love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. And the second is like it. The first is to love God. And so Jesus, and if you want to look at just the 10 Commandments, the most important one is, number 1, I am the Lord your God. You shall have no other gods but me. And so what Jesus is doing, kind of a sneaky way, is he's saying, why don't you just follow the back commandments without the foundation of God in there? Why don't you just kind of take pieces of Judaism, take pieces of the Old Testament, cobble them together, especially the ones you're already good at following, and then say, look how good I am. I follow the ones I would have already followed anyways. Why don't you do that? Why don't you just find some things that would work for you and go do them? And he says this. Teacher, all these I have kept since I was a boy. I'm not just good at business. I'm not just good at getting people to follow me. I'm not just good at money. I'm good in general. I'm good in general. And he's still going, what gives? And Jesus is going to hit him with a verse that none of us like. He's going to say this. There's one thing you lack. Jesus looked at him. One thing you lack, he said. Go sell everything you have and give it to the poor. And you will have treasure in heaven. Then come follow me. And at this, the man's face fell. He went away sad because he had great wealth. Now, what did Jesus say? why is this man with all... There's a napkin in our parking lot, and my pastor might like, who wants that napkin? It's probably my kids. All right. Luckily, none of you are there. It's fine. What did Jesus just say to this man? He said, I want you to take what belongs to you. Take that which is under you. And I want you to use it to the benefit of others. And then I want you to come glorify me. Jesus has this man who everyone in the room is looking at going, that guy's got it. We're not going to get that far today, but here's the first thing. The disciples are going to see this guy, and they're going to look and they're going to go, wait. If that guy's not in, then who can be saved? Everyone's looking at this guy going, that guy has something. Except for Jesus. And except for the guy. You see, this guy's got a problem. Everybody's impressed with him except him. Everybody's looking up to him except him. And everyone's looking, what are you complaining about, bro? How can you continue to complain? Look at all the things you have. Look at the family you got. Look at the money you got. Look at the things you got. And he's still going, well, I know it kind of sounds selfish, but I'm still kind of complaining. I still have needs. I still have things that I'm looking for. And Jesus says, here's what I want you to do. I would like for you to live fully into the image of God that I have implanted in you. I want you to exist on every realm of this, where what you do with the things that belong to you are not about you. And the relationships you have are not about you. And the relationship you have with God is not about you. I want you to take what belongs to you and use it to the benefit of others and the glory of God. That's what I want. And that can look 1,000 ways. It can look 1,000 ways. And there's a lot of freedom in how your life will get lived out. But if you and I make it about us, we will be left going, man, there's got to be something more. There's got to be something more. And the Bible said the man walked away sad because he had great wealth. Because he had so much stuff down here. It made him think this world has a lot of promise that I don't really want to give up on yet. And here's one of the great tragic ironies of life. And we live in the West, and the West has created a lot of things that we can enjoy. There's a lot of opportunity for us. There's a lot of things out there that we can achieve. There's a lot of things we can do with our lives. There's a lot of things we can buy with our money. There's a lot of things out there. And you know what? Those things are wonderful blessings. It is nice to be able to clothe your kids, feed your family, and turn the AC on in the hot summer. It is nice to be able to go on vacations. It is nice to have days off. It is nice to have the house you've dreamed of. It is nice to have those. They're a great blessing to have. But one of the great tragic ironies of life is that the blessings of life can very often become our curses if they become ends in themselves. And Jesus goes, they're wonderful. They're great. In the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus is going to go, look, don't worry about what your clothes you're going to wear, the food you're going to eat, or the stuff you're going to... He goes, your Father in heaven knows that you need them. He knows that you need them. He knows that you got to have them. You can't just live life without them. But we should seek first the kingdom of heaven and His glory. And then the rest falls into place. And when we get this picture messed up, we're not living into the story that God has put up for us. And we get left wondering, is there anything more? And there's a great tragedy in this story. This guy came looking for something. And he found it. And he left without it. And you know why? Well, I don't know about this guy. You know why you and I very often leave without what God has given us, even though we're looking for it? There are people. I interact with people a lot. They're kicking the tires of Christianity. They're checking it out. They're giving it a chance. They're sitting in chairs and they're reading the books and they're asking questions. I love it. We've gotten to a place in our church where there's questions we're able to have in our Bible studies and our home groups and things that no one feels like they just can't ask questions that bother them. And I love it. It's taken us 2 years to get here, but it's good. And so we're answering real questions in our Bible studies. It's a wonderful thing, and I love it. And there's people who come to the church and they give Christianity a chance, and they think it through, and they go, I want that. And they come forward and they get baptized, and they give their life to Christ, and it's an amazing thing. And there's some people who just kind of hem and haw, and they look at it, and they think they have 1 foot here and 1 foot there, and at some point they just go, I don't know. And they walk away. Do you know why I think most of us get to that point and then just go, I want to do it, Jesus, but and they want to walk away? You know what I think? Because they're hearing stories about Jesus that are not complete. Did any of you notice that I removed part of the story when I read it to you? I did the same thing our culture does to us. I told you part of the story, but I left out key details. The Bible says that Jesus looked at him and loved him. I do wonder how many times God looks at us and just goes, man, I love you. But you're just holding on so tight. Yeah, I can't help but love you. Man, I love you. But you're just not trusting me. I love you. I can't help but like you. But man, you're keeping these walls up in places that are not supposed to stay there. And I wonder how often, when it comes time for God to say, this is what I want you to do, it's not him going, man, I have a real nice little knife to jab in your back, but he's going, I'm looking at you, and I love you, and here's what you should do. Because the things God calls us to are the things he made us for. He loves us. Jesus tells us in John 10, he says, it's the thief that comes to steal, kill, and destroy. Not me. The thief comes to steal, kill, and destroy. I have come that you can have life and have it to the full. And when you and I sit here, we go, man, I wonder if there's anything else out there. It's because we are not experiencing life to the full. We are holding back on something, and we are just going, there's probably something in your life where you're going, you know what? I feel like I should go here. I should go talk to that person. I should try this thing out. I should do that thing. And I'm just going, I don't know if I can. And Jesus is going, I have come that you may have life. He's looking at you, and he's loving you. And this life is not meaningless. It is not just a random chance place. It is going somewhere. And Jesus is going, I want you to come along for the ride. I'm reading, I read this the last couple weeks, a book called Till the Sea Turns to Silver. And it's about a Chinese girl who's a storyteller. And so it's kind of like a story of how all the folk tales came. So last week I did a Chinese folk tale, and I'm going to do one more for you. And I don't think I have any more, so it's not, we're not just going to be the Bible and Chinese folk tales church. It's the last one, I promise. But there's a story of a lady who has a son, and she was a seamstress. She'd make tapestries, and the most beautiful tapestries ever. And when she would get done making it, people would ask, hey, this is what I want, this is what I'm looking for. And she'd make it, it's golden and beautiful, also this little landscape that she makes, and she gives it to him. And then this lady goes, man, this is such a beautiful tapestry. I wish I could live in it. I wish I could be in the tapestry. And then another person, and it went on like that. And she'd make another tapestry for another person and said, this is what I'm looking for. And she'd make it for him and it'd be done and go, oh, I love this tapestry. It's so beautiful, it's so wonderful. I wish I could be in it. I wish this was my life. And it just goes on and on and on. And the lady and her son are giving these tapestries to people. And one day, the tapestry is laying on the ground and starts to grow. And it grows and it grows and it grows until it covers everything. It covers the house, it covers the village, and then one day they all look up and they realize the tapestry was real all along. The tapestry was, the people were getting sewn into this tapestry all along. And then the wish came true. All the people who wanted to live in the tapestry were in the tapestry. It was real all along. And one of the characters in the story came to this conclusion. She said, I realized I could not love the tapestry without also loving its creator and her son. The Bible teaches us that story is ultimately true. That God is working a beautiful tapestry together. And one day that tapestry is going to grow, it's going to grow, it's going to grow. And for those of us who allow Jesus to weave our lives into that tapestry, we'll wake up one day and we will realize it was always true. This thing we've been searching for, this thing called meaning, this thing called purpose, this thing called reason, and why on earth we're here in the first place, is real. But the Bible also teaches that you can't have it without loving the Creator and His Son. And in fact, the reason of your life and the purpose of my life are both wound up in the man Jesus Christ. The great central figure of human history, who came to tie all the knots together, came to connect the dots. The things that don't really have a good, they don't really show us exactly what's going on in the Old Testament. We can't really piece all the pieces together. He kind of fills in the slots for us. For all the things where we kind of find ourselves wandering and hungering and leaving, He came and He looked at us and He said, I love you. And here's what I've called you to. And if we live fully into the image of God in us, not only will our lives matter, not only will we find purpose, but one day we're going to look up. We're going to be in heaven. We're going to realize all our deepest wishes were true all along. This world is not a tale told by a fool signifying nothing. This world is a story told by the great storyteller. And He wants you to be a part of it. And the call is hard. It requires a lot. But what God calls us to is what He made us for. And you can trust that.